Excellent. So we're very glad that you guys are here this morning. Ready, I hope, to do some fun and exciting coding, because all coding is fun and exciting, right? You guys learned that yesterday, right? No. Well, by the end of this next little segment, hopefully you will feel differently. What we're going to do is Rhea and I are going to role play. I'm going to be the parent. She's going to be the child. And on your forms there, what I want you to do is I want you to code the verbalizations that I make. Okay, so when I'm talking, you should be coding. Okay, just to review, the neutral talk, the first line, those are things that relay information or indicate that I'm attending to the child, but don't necessarily fall into the other categories like behavior description or the others, okay? Behavior descriptions are when the parent is describing what the child is doing. So things like you are coloring a picture, you're using the orange crayon, you're building a tower, those sorts of verbalizations. Reflections, as anybody in mental health should know, a reflection is saying back what the child is saying, okay, using some of the child's words, maybe elaborating a little bit. Labeled praise is telling her specifically what I like that she's doing, or the parent telling the child specifically what they like that they're doing. Unlabeled praise is saying that they like something, but not necessarily what it is that they like, okay? And then we have questions. Questions are questions. Commands. Commands are telling the child what to do. And then there is negative talk, and so that's going to be anything that is kind of bad in terms of contradicting the child, any sarcasm, any sassy talk, or otherwise indicating that the parent does not approve of what the child is doing or wants them to stop. Okay? Any questions about that? No? Yes, ma'am.
I have an unrelated question.
Okay.
Just for setup. So I want to propose taking some of these crayons off to really simulate a true setup.
Okay.
And you may have thoughts on this, but does anyone have any ideas why I, as a PCIT therapist, would not want to have 20 crayons on the table?
You don't need them, and the kid might throw them on the ground or something.
So, okay, so we don't need them. The child might throw them. Exactly. What else might the child do?
Minimize choices. Eat it.
So they might minimize. It might minimize choices. I heard eat it here. Yes. So that's along the lines. Throwing, eating. What else? On the wall, breaking them repeatedly. So sometimes if they have too many options, I don't know if you guys do this, and we find this. So I always just limit, just for setup. So as you guys are, thinking about how you might set it up. Can I take some?
Yeah.
I was thinking that might give me some good opportunities for negative talk. To be
To have
honest.
so many?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll leave you like 10.
Thanks. I've been looking forward to that. Just kidding.
I'm excited for this role play.
So what we will do is we will role play, and I will do just a few verbalizations, and then we'll stop. Melanie is coding as we go along, and so we'll go through the verbalizations one by one and see how you guys are doing in terms of reliability with the codes that we come up with, okay? So for each verbalization, you should be making a tally mark in the box appropriate to that, okay? We're just going to use one sheet for now, so each time we get going again, you can just draw a line and keep going, okay? Excellent.
How come there aren't more crayons?
You want more crayons.
There aren't any crayons. I do like purple.
You like purple. I like how you picked up the purple crayon to use. I like purple too.
I'm going to make a purple
Stop there.
heart.
I got carried away. I forgot to stop. Okay, what did you guys hear there? Good. And a labeled praise. And one neutral talk. Yep.
I heard 2 neutral talk.
2 neutral talks? Okay. I know that there was reflection for for.
So it was. So I think it was. I like the crayons. Or why aren't there more crayons? You want more crayons. So I coded that neutral talk.
Yeah.
Because it slightly changes the meaning.
Yeah.
Because the reflection, because it's indicating what the child wants when the child has just asked, why aren't there more?
Yeah, I kind of interpret.
So the true reflection is you're asking why there aren't more crayons. I'm not sure why, or something like that. So I have that as neutral talk. That was a hard one.
Yeah.
A stumper. Melanie
Sorry,
started
right
with
off
a stumper.
Well, I thought I told you to behave too at first.
That's negative talk.
That would be negative talk.
Sorry.
And then there was one negative talk. Stop that. I heard a stop that. No? I made it up. I did not.
Yeah.
Maybe you like cut. Did you? Is that when you stopped?
Oh, I said stop talking or stop for
Oh,
everybody
okay.
to stop. You're right. You're right. There was a stop.
I code everything. Everything I hear.
Perfect.
Okay.
Okay, let's try again. Could you guys hear me okay? Okay, good. And go. You are coloring another heart inside the first heart.
Yep, 2 hearts.
2 hearts. I'm going to draw 2 hearts just like you.
Cool, Mommy. I'm making a third one. Do you want to make a third one?
I would love to make a third one. You're really good at making hearts.
Thanks.
Stop there. Praise. What did you have, Melanie?
2 neutral talks, 1 behavior description, 1 reflection, 1 labeled praise.
Wow. Good job. You guys are feeling pretty. See how much fun and exciting this coding is? I see smiles. I see laughter. Okay.
Were there any ones that you had questions about? Any confusing ones?
I'm having trouble with the neutral talks, though. I don't know why.
They're hard.
They are
Because they're
hard.
hard. Yeah. It's true. It's hard.
Yeah, it seems like they would be easy because they're kind of the miscellaneous category, but you almost have to go through all the other categories, say, okay, not that one, not that one, not that one. Okay, it's going to be neutral talk. But it's generally those sorts of things that are just saying information.
So when Melanie was describing what she was doing, those were the talks. When she said, I'm going to make a purple heart just like you, that's a talk. It's good imitation, but it's just coded as a talk. It's describing her behavior.
Okay, let's keep going.
Yeah, purple hearts for Valentine's Day.
Oh yeah. What do you want to do for Valentine's Day?
Um,
Do you want to give some Valentines to your friends?
have chocolate. Chocolate? With chocolate, can we give chocolate to my friends?
You want to give chocolate to all your friends?
Yeah.
That's a lot of chocolate.
Yeah, we can get one of those big bags.
Stop there. Yeah, I thought there might be 4 questions. The last one, the chocolate? Love it.
So that could be negative talk too, with the tone that you had.
I think I would code it as, the tone probably comes into it.
You like chocolate.
When you're unsure, the thing is,
Yeah.
so I heard it as like a surprise. So if you're unsure if it's negative talk or a question, what do you do? Do you go to the priority order?
If you're unsure.
What do you go to if you're unsure? Yes, decision rules. Priority order is if you're sure it's 2. Decision rules are if you're unsure which one it is. And so your decision rules would not have you code negative talk unless you're sure, right? Unless you're sure it's negative, because that's really dinging the parent.
Yeah. But that's good thinking. I like that thinking. You got to keep that in mind, that the tone can make it negative.
Absolutely.
Talk. Yeah. Very cool. Okay. Shall we try again? Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. Big bag of chocolate.
Well, if you're making Valentine's, you need to use this pink crayon.
I don't want to use the pink crayon.
Use the pink crayon.
Oh, fine.
You
I
broke it. You broke it. Stop throwing those. You know you're not supposed to do that. Let's stop there.
He's like, I want Rhea to
Wouldn't that be
stop.
nice if you could do that? That was hard, actually.
Yeah, it was hard. The first statement that I gave, I kind of wanted to take back. I apologize. Yeah, definitely some commands. Definitely some negative talk. Yeah.
So how would you code the you broke it? I mean, that I would code that it wasn't sassy.
Yeah,
a
it was a behavior description.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then a reflection. You
Yeah.
broke it. I broke it. You broke it.
Yeah. And then I said it again after
And then
she said it.
it again.
So the first time it was a behavior description, second time it was both a behavior description and a reflection. So it gets coded as the reflection. Does that make sense?
I heard it as negative talk because you said it first.
I said it first, but I didn't necessarily say something like it's bad that you broke it. You know, I just said you broke it, and my tone wasn't like, oh, you broke it, because I could do that. But you know, so that could be coded as a behavior description. Then she said I broke it, and then I repeated you broke it.
Okay.
So that second time I said it, it was both a reflection and a behavior description, in which case it gets coded as a reflection.
Maybe I don't remember, but did you say at any time, you know you cannot do that? I think that I heard that, but maybe.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that would be
Yeah.
a negative talk.
Yeah,
Negative talk.
yeah. I definitely said something very similar to that. Yeah. So the first statement that I said, if you're going to make Valentines, you need to use the pink crayon.
Command.
Yeah, I put that as a command. Just one.
Yeah.
It is just one, yeah.
But it's a conditional, so automatically you think, uh-oh,
Yeah.
this is a hard one to code.
Yes.
But we all agree that's a command. Excellent. Okay. Shall we try one more?
More?
Okay.
Mommy, I broke the crayons.
I'm going to draw nicely with my purple crayon. I'm going to draw a ballerina.
A ballerina.
A ballerina. Here's her tutu. Oh, I like how you're using the purple crayon on your paper.
Yeah, I'm making a tutu like you are.
Oh, making a tutu. Great job making a tutu. I like how you're being careful with that crayon. Stop there. Lots of stuff was in there. Let's start. How many neutral talks did you guys hear? 2 or 3? Okay. So you guys are in the same ballpark on that. Behavior descriptions, how many did you guys hear? I hear 1 or 2. Oh, our expert here has 0 behavior descriptions. Okay. Yeah, yeah, that's a trick, isn't it? When the child's describing what they're doing, those are both behavior descriptions and reflections, but by priority order, they go to reflections. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
So you said I'm going to draw a tutu or a ballerina, and
Yeah.
then she said a ballerina, and then you said a ballerina back. So is that a reflection?
That's a reflection.
You said it first.
But I said it again after she said it.
Yeah.
Yeah. As long as it comes after the child's verbalization, it doesn't matter what I said earlier. Yeah. Okay, so reflections, how many of those do we have? 2. 2.
Good.
Awesome.
2.
Labeled praises. 3. 3. Awesome.
Nice. 3.
Unlabeled praise. 1 or 2. How many had 0? Okay, those that had 1 or 2, what did you hear? Do you remember? I like how you're coloring. Right, those are label praises because I said specifically what it was that I liked that she was doing. I like how you're using the purple crayon gently and things like that.
I said great job, something like a great job or something like that, and that unlabeled.
If it's great job all by itself, then yes, it's unlabeled. If it's great job using the purple crayon, then that would be labeled. Yeah, and that is tricky. That is. Okay, and then any questions? Any commands? Any negative talk? Wow, I really turned it around there, didn't I? Okay, I think we have time for one more. So this time we're going to go for a full minute. Okay, we've only been doing short periods of time, so we're going to try for a full minute of coding. So take some nice deep breaths. Pace yourself. And you'll notice that I have my handy dandy stopwatch on my watch, so I am ready to code at a moment's notice. Ready, set, go.
I need a new page.
A new page.
Yeah.
I'm going to color on this page with the blue.
I got blue too.
You got blue too. That is so cool that we're both using blue.
Yeah. I'm making the ocean.
You are making an ocean. with lots of blue waves. You are really good at drawing oceans.
I am.
Oh. Which ocean is that? Do you think that's the Pacific or the Atlantic?
My ocean.
Your ocean? Okay, it can be your ocean.
Yep.
Your ocean needs some fish. Can you draw some fish in your ocean?
Like Nemo?
Sure, like Nemo. Nemo was orange. Use the orange.
Okay.
Oh, what a great job drawing a fish. That looks just like Nemo.
Really?
Oh, I like how you're coloring them all in orange. Stop there. Okay, you're done. Scale from 1 to 5. How hard was that? 1 easy, 5 hard. 2 or 3? Good, good. So you guys are ready to do a full 5 minutes, right? No, we're going over this. Thank you. Thank you. I love that enthusiasm. We're going to go over this one. Okay, so how many neutral talks did you guys hear?
6.
5 or 6? Okay. Melanie's got 6. You guys are doing good. Those are the toughest ones to get a lot of the time. So if you're in the ballpark on that, you're doing great. Behavior descriptions. 1. 0. Okay, I hear 0 or 1. That's pretty good. Awesome. Awesome. Reflections. 3 or 4? 3 or 4? 3, 4, 5. Okay, we're all within 1 of Melanie. That's wonderful. She had 4. Okay. Label praises. 3. 4. Good, good. I like the confidence that I'm hearing from the group. I know it's 3. That's what I want to hear. Because that tells me that you guys are feeling better and better about your codes, and that's what we want. We want you to have some confidence in doing this. Okay, so we're unlabeled praises. 0. Okay, I think the zeros have it on that one. Questions?
4.
Because you described different oceans, so I took that as a question.
Yeah, each time you said an ocean, I was like, there's okay.
They were connected. Is that
or
the Pacific?
Atlantic?
I just saw one question.
Yeah, when I said it, I kind of thought to myself, would I code that as 1 or 2? I can kind of see it both ways. So how many did you have?
I did 4 because
4.
2 seconds.
So 4 or 5?
Yeah.
Probably
Yeah.
reasonable. 4 or 5? Okay. How many people were in 4 or 5 on that one?
Which one?
Good. And,
Oh, sorry.
questions.
3. I had 3
Oh, you had
questions.
3.
Sorry.
Okay, 3 or 4 in questions. Good.
3 or 4.
Good, good, good. Okay, and commands. 2. 1 or 2, good. Good.
Guys.
And then negative talk. Oh man, I missed a category. I was trying so hard. Excellent. Great job with your coding. Absolutely fabulous. Thank you very much. You win the prize. Okay, so what we're going to do now is Melanie is going to take over for me as parent. You are going to stay as child. And Melanie is going to model CDI skills the way that we're hoping all parents will get to at mastery levels.
Let's see if I do it.
Yes. And we are all going to code along. So that second DPIX coding sheet that you grabbed, go ahead and pull that out now. And we're going to code for the full 5 minutes this time. I wasn't kidding.
You want these 2? We can.
The biggest recommendation I can make is if there's something that you're stuck on, go ahead and make a decision and keep going. So Melanie's going to keep talking, okay? If you get hung up and you're trying to figure out one code, she could say 3 or 4 things down the road that you're going to miss, okay? So better to make your decision and move on. I always, even now, I'm writing stuff in the margins. If I have a second and the parent says something that I either like or I'm not sure how to code, I'll write it down in the margin real quick so that I can go back and look at my guidelines and figure out what I should have coded it. But in the moment, you do the best you can and you move on, okay?
Okay, Rhea, it's our special time.
Oh, wait. Are you ready to go? I'm sorry, I didn't start my watch.
Sorry. Ready?
On your marks.
Set.
Go.
Go. Okay, Rhea, it's our special time.
Yay!
You're
special
holding
time.
the potato head, and you're opening its back. I love the way you're playing so gently with it.
It's hard to open it. Oh,
It is hard to open, but you
got
opened it. You got it.
Eyes.
Eyes.
Nose.
Nose.
A funny arm.
A funny arm. You found the yellow arm.
He's muscle man.
He is a muscle man. You put the muscle arm down. Oh, here's another muscle arm.
Oh, two.
There are two. You're trying to put one of the muscle arms on the potato. Now you're picking up the other muscle arm. You're doing such a nice job playing at the table with me. I love how you're playing so safely with the toys. You put that other muscle arm on.
That looks funny.
It does look funny. And now you picked up the yellow mouth with the two teeth.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there are the eyes.
There are the eyes. You're putting on the eyes. You're putting the eyes on so gently and carefully. And I love the indoor voice you're using while we play.
Yeah, teacher says it's good to use your inside voice inside.
Your teacher says it's good to use your inside voice inside. I agree with that completely. And you put on the orange nose. I love the potato head you're making.
He doesn't have any feet.
He doesn't have any feet. I don't see any feet either.
Well, we can pretend.
You're telling me that we can pretend. That's right. Now you're putting the blue hat on Potato Head. You're doing such a great job playing so carefully with the potato head. And now you're trying to put the back on, and that's not easy. I like the way you're still trying to put the back on, even though it's hard to do.
It is really hard, Mommy. I didn't mean to do that.
It is really hard. That's okay. It's very difficult. But I like that you're going back to trying to put it on, even though it's something hard.
Yeah, it's hard, and I didn't want to break it.
I know you didn't want to break it.
I'm going to push real soft like this.
You're telling me you're going to push real soft. And I like how you're using your inside voice even quieter. It's so good how calm you're staying, even though that's really hard and keeps breaking.
It does keep breaking, but
It does keep breaking. You picked it up again. And now you're trying to put the potato head piece on again. I love how you keep trying to put it on.
I got it!
You got it! It's so great that you fixed the potato head.
Now he's all done.
He is all done. Oh, and now you're balancing him because he has no feet.
No feet.
No feet.
He's hungry.
Oh, he's hungry. And you picked up the chicken. It's so thoughtful of you to feed your potato head when he's hungry.
Do potatoes like chicken?
Chicken. I think they do.
Okay.
Oh, you're feeding him chicken. It's very nice how carefully you're feeding him his chicken. Chicken.
And waffles.
And waffles. We love chicken and waffles.
Oh, another chicken?
Another chicken. You put that piece of chicken with your other chicken and waffle pile.
With French fries.
With the French fries. You're doing a nice job sorting out the food for the potato head's meal.
And another French fry.
Another French fry.
Goes there.
Goes there. You put the French fry right over there in the pile.
Yeah.
And you move the potato chip away.
I think I'm going to give it to him, too.
You've decided to give it to him. This looks like a delicious meal that you prepared. And you picked up the orange crayon and you're making a circle with it.
It's a plate.
A plate! What a good idea to combine all of the toys.
Ta-da!
And now, ta-da! Oh, I love the way that you made a plate and you put the food on and you're feeding him.
Yeah, this is his dinner.
That's his dinner. You made the potato head's dinner. Stop there. Breathe again. Okay. Now go ahead and add up the tallies that you have for each row. Okay, so neutral talk, add up your tallies and put it in the total column. Do the same for the rest.
For the ends,
Are those are multiple, right?
We're going to talk about all the codes in just a minute. Go ahead and tally it up, and then we'll get to that. Yeah. Okay. Everybody got it all tallied up? Okay. Neutral talk. What did you guys have for neutral talks?
I had 9.
Anywhere between 8 and 13. How many had 8 to 13? Good. How many had 9 to 11? Yeah. Good. I had 11. Good. Behavior descriptions. How many had more than 15 behavior descriptions? How many had more than 20 behavior descriptions? How many had more than 25? Good. I had 24. Good. Reflections. How many had more than 25 reflections? There were a ton of them in there, weren't there? I had 30. Yeah. Good. Label praises. How many had more than 10 labeled praises? How many had more than 15 labeled praises? More than 20? 19. I had 21. And to answer the question, were you asking about the labeled praises, if those were all separate? Because she said, I like the way you did this and this and this. I did count those as 3 different labeled praises. Yeah.
I heard it as I was saying it. I was like, this is hard to code. I made a face.
I'm glad I'm not the only one. But that's that distributive rule that we talked about yesterday when she said, I like the way you did this and did this and did this. The I like the way gets distributed to each of those. So it's coded as I like the way you did this, and I like the way you did this, and I like the way you did this. Okay? Very good.
Label phrases.
It counts as 3 labeled praises. Yep. Unlabeled praises. Yeah.
I had 1. I wasn't sure.
I had 1 as well.
Oh, okay.
What was it?
There was something like good job, and there was a long pause, and then another accomplishment. Like that feels separate. At least that's what I think it was.
What's that?
She kept going. Like she said, I like the way you're. She continued.
Oh.
Yeah.
I heard that pause.
I don't remember what it was. There was one thing that I thought was an unlabeled. Oh no, you said that's right. That's what.
Oh,
you said.
yeah.
That's right.
That was it. Yes, yes, yes. That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I heard something.
You said like ta-da. So like you were repeating what she said, but then was that also kind of like praise? I got confused on that one.
It's a good question.
That is a good question. I coded that as a reflection because that was my first instinct. Thinking about it more, I don't know if it's enough to be an unlabeled praise for me. You did have the gesture to go with it, which sometimes works.
Right,
but
it was a big gesture.
Yeah, I just coded that as the reflection. Yeah. Cool. Okay, then we had 1 unlabeled praise. Any questions, commands, or negative talk? No. You have 1 command? I have 1 command too. I'm not sure though. Let's see what you think. This is what you said. You said, you're telling me you're going to put the back on.
Oh, that's how else would you make a reflection out of that?
I said I'm going to put the back on, I think. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're telling
Yeah.
me changes it to a reflection. Boom.
Yeah?
Yeah. Okay. How else though? How else would you reflect it without?
The back on.
But you're telling me is what makes it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes it a reflection.
You guys feel like
And then I'll actually also.
Because if you reflect though, and it could be both a reflection and a command, and it's going to get coded as the command. I see it both ways. I mean, I think that it was.
I feel like that would take out so many possible reflections though from my family.
This is why we're at 80% reliability.
Yeah.
Because there's still
I'm
some
sticking
codes
to my
that we
guns.
debate.
It's a reflection.
And
And you're sticking to your guns. It's a
No.
command.
I wrote it down as a command.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
was
yeah.
my first instinct.
Yeah.
But I wrote it down because I wasn't sure.
The one I struggle with is if a child says, this comes up fairly frequently, if the child says like, what is this? And the parent says, what is that you're asking?
Yeah.
But it's still one statement.
Yeah.
And it ends in the tip down.
Yeah,
That's
it
the one
does.
I wrote down yesterday during, reflection, even though that one to me feels more like a question than but
Yeah.
it's all together.
So
That you're feeling the debate
Yeah.
and the controversy is like just where we want you to be.
So exciting. I think there might have been one other question.
yeah.
I mean,
another question.
Deepik's question.
No, we got something different at the beginning. I can't
Yeah.
remember what you said, but it was like, it was a command. It was like, you have to do this, or you have to, and now I can't remember what it was.
I think it
but
was
we all
put the arms on or put
I think I heard that as you put the arms on, rather than just put the arms on.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, but that makes a difference. That's why it's so important to hear what's going on.
Anytime you said it, I felt like you were just repeating her.
Yeah. It was hard though. She did have, but you could see how hard that is for parents. Like you have to really sort of reframe what they've said to avoid giving it as a command.
Because if she just repeated me, if I said,
I'm gonna
put the arms on, and Melanie said, put the arms on,
Then
what
it would
is
be.
that? It would be a command, right?
It's easier, I think, if they just say incomplete sentences. Like if you say, put the arms on, and you say, arms on,
Yes.
then it's not a command.
Yeah.
Yeah. Question.
One thing I had a question on is you told her before she put the arms on, you're like, oh, here's another yellow arm. And kind of
That's a
like
good
cue for her
question.
to use it.
Yeah.
So would that be an indirect command?
That's one of those that it doesn't have that verb in there to say that it is an excellent question. This comes up a lot, and to be honest, a lot of people don't like how we code it. It gets coded as a talk because it just technically it's just providing information to the child. Here's another yellow one. It's not saying anything that the child has to do with it. I think a lot of us, as we watch that, looking in the context and everything else, we say, oh, the parent wants the child to do something, but because we're trying to take context out of it as much as possible, we just look at what the parent says and they're just providing information, so it gets coded in the talk category.
Great question.
Yeah. Awesome. See how much fun coding can be, especially first thing in the morning. Nothing wakes you up like a good coding discussion, right?
It's true.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on now and talk some more about CDI coaching.
That's an unlabeled praise. Okay.
High five. Okay, guys, so we just saw Melanie do beautiful CDI, right? She went above and beyond CDI mastery. Does anybody remember what our bare minimum for mastery is? 10, 10, 10. So 10, what? 10, at least 10 behavior descriptions, at least 10 label praise, and at least 10 reflections, and then no more than what? Then no more than 3 commands, questions, or criticisms. Awesome, yeah. Nope, 3 total combined. So if a parent has 3 questions, that's all they can have. Yeah. The goal is actually to have 0 of those, but we allow them to have a few. So the question is, how do you get the parents there? I'm really, really excited to talk about coaching because coaching is one of the most fun aspects of PCIT. It's something that sets PCIT apart from other parent training programs, that we are working with the parent and child together live. And it's a lot of fun to do, so we're going to talk about that now. We already did the review. We avoid leading the play, giving commands, asking questions, and criticizing. And we praise, reflect, imitate, describe, and enjoy. We talked about mastery criteria. Mastery criteria is there so that we know that the parents don't just know the skills, right? But that they're using them with a set level of proficiency. Okay? So they not only know label praise, but they are very comfortable with label praise, and they can give them at a fairly high frequency, at the therapeutic dose that the child likely needs to calm their behavior. Once you have CDI mastery, then you know the parents really have those skills down, and they're ready to move on to the second phase of treatment, to the parent-directed interaction. And we're very open with our parents about this. Again, I think there's something really nice about how concrete we are, because there are tangible goals, and the parents know exactly where they are in that process. And we're really, again, we're very supportive in how we deliver that feedback and how we work with them in the coaching. So the primary, you saw me yesterday go through CDI Teach with Melanie and Dan, where I explained the skills. After that Teach session, the majority of your CDI sessions are going to be these CDI coaching sessions, where you're working with the caregivers and child together. What does that look like? So of course you're just going to check in with the parent first. How was the week? How are you doing? We actually specifically make sure that therapists ask about a parent stressor unrelated to the child's behavior. Why do you think we do that? It's actually in the manual as an integrity item, that you check in on something besides the child. To make you feel like you care, to build rapport. Remember that relationship is so key in any therapy, and I think given what we're asking parents to do, I think it is especially important in PCIT. So yeah, you want to check in on that parent. You want to spend a few minutes talking about that though. You don't want to spend 40 minutes. Why? It's also not why you're there. You're not doing individual therapy with them. And we do know that the primary thing that will help their child is to learn these skills and be using these skills. So it's a balance. It's a really delicate balance. You want to check in with the parent, make sure that you know that they know you care, but you also gotta sometimes rein parents in who might not be used to this form of therapy, and they might be thinking that this is really what we're going to do. We're going to sit down, we're going to talk about the week, I'm going to tell you about what's going on. So sometimes it's reining them in a bit too. And of course, reviewing home practice or homework. We assign it every week, and we want the parents, our goal is for the parents to practice their CDI, their special time, every day with their child. And we ask them again to mark it down on a homework sheet and bring that back to us. So talking through the week home practice, and if there are problems or barriers, really problem solving those. And that can take a little bit of time. And then briefly just reviewing the skills, just a quick little reminder, remembering that these are very new and different skills for your families. So you just want a quick summary, and then moving back behind the mirror and doing your 5-minute coding period. And that's like what you guys just did with Melanie and I. You're just going to be watching quietly for 5 minutes and see where the parent skills are. That's really important to code before you coach. Your coding really informs your coaching. So again, we talked yesterday a lot about how PCIT is really very assessment driven and takes it to a whole new level. So this coding is so important for guiding your coaching and making a game plan, really, for that family. So with Melanie, what do we have to work on with Melanie 5 minutes ago? Nothing. She's at mastery. She's moving on. You are still going to coach Melanie, though, because you're going to give her lots of what? Lots of praise. You have been working with this mom for a while. She's been working really hard. You need to praise the heck out of this woman right here, right? Some people will say, well, she was at mastery, so I let her go home early. Wah, wah. You mean you've been working so hard for this goal and then you just let her walk out the door? No. So I'm still going to be coaching Melanie, but my coaching of Melanie is going to be very different compared to a mom who's early on in CDI and maybe she doesn't have any pride skills. Maybe I code her and there are some talk and some questions, and that's what I'm working with. So obviously I'm going to coach that mom very differently than I'm going to coach Melanie. So that's the majority of your session. Notice that. The majority of the session, you're behind the mirror, 30 minutes. And if you are working with 2 caregivers, then you split the coaching time. So one parent goes in, gets coded and coached. They swap, and the other parent gets coded and coached. If the parent is not being coached, they should be behind the mirror with you. And I was talking with people earlier about how powerful we think that time is, that a parent can just sit back and watch and observe the interaction. And that observational learning is actually really powerful. So if dad says, hey, I'm done with my coding, can I go make a phone call? Unless it's an emergency phone call, your answer is, actually, I would really love it if you could come back with me. So reviewing, and then after the coaching, of course, you want to spend some time. You come back behind the mirror, reviewing their progress. And we're very concrete about that. So we chart their skills every week from that coding period. There's a nice handy-dandy summary sheet in the manual that lets you say, this week you had 2 behavior descriptions. The following week you had 5. So they can see very tangibly how they're progressing through treatment. And the ECB graph. Remember, we all learned the exciting ECB yesterday. You're going to take that score and chart it. Again, all there in the manual for you, a handy-dandy ECB graph, and show that to the parent as well. Very motivating for parents to be able to see the graph go down. And typically, if they're doing their home practice, it will go down. And so that's really exciting for parents to be able to see. And if it's not going down, then we need to know why. We need to explore, how's home practice happening, if there are any barriers there, or if maybe special time is not happening quite how we would like, but that's really important data for us as well. And then making a plan for home practice. So what do you guys think about this if I was like, all right, Mom, you did a great job today. I just wanted to keep up the good work. Here's your homework sheet. Too vague, yes, exactly. So this can take a couple minutes. Talk with the parents about what skill they're going to focus on that week. If you know that last week it was hard to find appropriate activities, you're going to spend a little bit of time talking about how we're going to come up with that this week. Okay? We have actual research that shows the more specific we are with clients about their home practice for therapy, and this is not just PCIT, this is in general, the more specific you are about home practice, the more likely it is to happen. Okay? So really spending some time with that. Okay, so this coaching, it's the majority of your PCIT session. What do you do? What does it sound like? Yesterday we started talking about the parallel process. The skills that we want parents to use, we use with parents. So you are going to be giving your parents a lot of praise. And what kind of praise? Labeled praise, absolutely. So tons of labeled praise, of course, for pride skills, of course. Nice reflection, great behavior description, that's so important. But you're even going to be looking way beyond just pride skills. Right? There's a lot that goes into CDI, and a lot of things that the parent is already doing that are really positive, and we really want to recognize those too. Okay? Especially in the beginning, when the parent might not have many pride skills, but we still want to be recognizing the things they are bringing to the interaction. So thinking about good eye contact. Oh, I love how you got right down on the floor with her. Nice following her lead. So really just praising that parent and building up. The idea is that we really just want to build on what they're bringing to the interaction. So we're really going to, again, that parallel process, provide a lot of positive feedback for positive behaviors and primarily ignore behaviors that we don't want to see from the parent. That use of differential social attention is very powerful for adults as well as for kids. We also want to try to keep it positive, and that means you have to be on your toes as a coach. Literally, I think I am on my toes behind the mirror because I want to be right there. And if you can tell a kid starts throwing the crayons like some kids do, and before Melanie even has a chance to say anything, I say, great ignoring that. Good job, Mom. Keep up the good work. Right? So before that interaction even has a chance to go in a direction I don't want it to, I head her off and keep her supported. And again, thinking about all the things that we need that parent to be doing and praising all of the positive behaviors you see from your parent. So live coaching is a lot of fun. It keeps you on your toes. These are real live parents and kids, and you never know what is going to happen. And I think, again, that's really some of the most fun parts about PCIT. It is never boring. But it is difficult sometimes when people are first learning PCIT because it's a very unique skill. Think about traditional therapy. We kind of sit back. We're oftentimes we're taught in grad school not to be too directive and to sit back and reflect on what the client is saying and maybe not even talk that much. I train, primarily that's what I do, is train clinicians and community agencies in PCIT, and especially for clinicians who have been practicing for a while, when I talk about how much I need them to talk as a coach, I literally had one, this is an actual quote, I don't say that much all day, Rhea, and you want me to say that in 30 minutes? Are you kidding? So I'm thinking about, we want it to be directive and fast-paced, but also positive and supportive. So again, can be a difficult balance for new therapists to master at times. So what are the guidelines if you're a new therapist? What should you be thinking about as you're coaching your parents? These are the general coaching guidelines developed by PCIT International. The idea is to be brief. This is very hard for me. I love to talk. I don't know if you've gotten that about me, but I especially love to talk about PCIT and the positive changes I see happening. So my tendency is to want to say, for example, oh my goodness, John, you have been praising him all session and he just loves it. And did you notice that the more you praise, the more he does it? And it's really phenomenal, and I'm so proud of you for your hard work. That is what I want to say, true confessions. And this is on the internet. True confessions, that's what I want to say. And that is, it might be very true. But what is wrong with that in this scenario? Too much. Yes, let's remember what John's got going on. He's got a bug in his ear. He's in front of a one-way mirror with his, probably somewhat active, impulsive child. He's trying to listen to you. He's trying to remember the skills. He's trying to listen to his kid. Oh, and by the way, make sure it all looks really natural, okay? I mean, it is so much. We can never forget how many demands we're placing on our caregivers in PCIT. So we have to be brief. Rarely more than 5 words at a time. Eek! That is so difficult for me. But the idea is that good coaches, they just drop their coaching in very subtly into the interaction. And they're just tweaking as they go. And it's very unobtrusive, and it just flows. And that's the goal. We talk a lot, but we talk in short bursts so that it doesn't intrude on the parent-child interaction, and so that the parent can actually hear us, like really hear it. Not just like a, oh my gosh, I think Rhea's going on and on here, but that they can incorporate what I'm saying while still playing with their child and keeping up their skills. So be brief, be quick, commenting on a behavior immediately. That's just good learning theory, right? If we can comment on a behavior immediately, we're more likely to shape that behavior. So rather than saying, but that's the beauty of the live coaching, that we can do it immediately. As soon as that mom gives a label praise, you can praise that mom for giving the label praise. Rather than saying, hey, that was really great last week when you praised her, right? So as quickly as you can, obviously we're human, it's fast. What's happening in front of you, it's going quickly. You're not gonna be able to catch everything, but as much as you can, staying on top of the interaction. Being positive, this is just so important. Right? PCIT is all about praising the positive and reinforcing the positive. And again, I think therapists who are new to PCIT, of course, they want to be positive, but it's a lot of demands on the therapist as well, right? They're learning this new skill. You're trying to figure out, is it a behavior description or a reflection? I don't know. I don't have my priority order right now. And I got to do it right away. So sometimes it can come off a little harsh. Oh, Mom, that was a question. And the idea is to stay positive. So you don't have to have my spa voice. You don't have to do that. But you want to stay positive and supportive of that parent. And being enthusiastic, usually, right? Now, if I have a depressed mom, it's all about matching the parent somewhat. If I have a depressed mom, and maybe she's kind of low energy and she's not even talking that much, and I get over the bug, and I am just my normal, Rhea, excited self, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Mom, you're doing so great, I'm so proud of you. I mean, what is that mom gonna think? Exactly. Yes. She's gonna be like, that girl is nuts. And she may or may not be wrong. However, the point is, that's not how I want her to feel, right? So it is a little bit of matching the parent where they are, but I'm also not gonna go all the way down, right? So I'm gonna use a positive, supportive, enthusiastic voice, but I'm gonna match her somewhat. Being supportive when needed. This is especially important if you have to coach a parent through an ignore. It can be very difficult, especially sometimes our kids, the ignore does last for a while, and you've really got to be very supportive to that parent. It's, of course, again, it's about matching your parent and knowing your parent. This is where the art of PCIT comes in. So I've been working with one dad for a long time. I think the family is very close to graduation. And he has, he's been through it. We've worked together a long time. He's very comfortable with the skills. So he had to do a minor ignore the other week. And I didn't say, hey, Dad, are you okay? I know this is tough. Because I knew he was okay. But for a new parent and who's maybe having a harder time with the ignore, I'm going to be a lot more supportive and say, are you doing okay? I know this is really tough. So it's about knowing your parent, but we're always very warm and supportive. And of course, we've already talked about how you just have to pay attention in PCIT. I tell my trainees, PCIT coaching days are not the days to forget your coffee. Right? You need to be on it, and again, trying to predict what the parent is going to do and predict what the child is going to do before they actually do it, so you can kind of structure the interaction the way that we want it to. Okay, so we're going to get into the actual things that coaches say, which is super fun part. And I do a lot of training, and like I said, I've been really noticing how important it is to train coaching quickly, because it's the most important piece of PCIT. And so I was kind of thinking about, how can I best describe this? What's a way that can reach people? And I'm a big Friends person. And so I remembered this episode of Friends where Rachel, who is not really a cook, and I can relate, she decides that she's going to make a traditional English trifle. Do you guys know it? Yeah. But somehow the recipes get blended together with a trifle and a shepherd's pie recipe. So it's like, a layer of cake, a layer of jam with like a layer of peas on it, and then some meat. And somehow, I forget the details, but they all know this has happened, and it's about time for her to try it, them all to try it. So that's my setup, and I promise you it will relate to what we're talking about.
And if anyone needs help pretending to like it, I learned some things in acting class. Try rubbing your stomach. Or saying, And smiling.
Yeah, I'm not going to pay for those acting classes anymore.
Rachel, there you are. Come on, let's serve that dessert already.
Joey, you're going to have to stop rushing me. You know what? You don't get any dessert.
Really?
No, I'm just kidding. I would never do that to you. Okay, everybody, it's trifle time. So, now, Rach, this is a traditional English trifle, isn't it? It sure is. Wow. So then did you make it with beef or eggplant? Beef. I can't have any. I don't eat beef. Oh. All right, Monica, I want you to have the first taste. Really? Oh, wait, you only got whipped cream in there. You got to take a bite with all the layers. Okay. Oh, you dropped the key. Well. It's good. Really? It's so good that I feel really selfish about being the only one who's eating it. And I think we should have everyone taste how good it is. Especially Ross.
Yeah, this is so good that I'm going to go enjoy it on the balcony. I can enjoy the view whilst I enjoy my dessert.
I'm going to call my friend Matt and tell her how good this is from Monica's room.
I'll help you dial.
I'm going to go into the bathroom so I can look at it in the mirror as I eat it. Okay, now what was that all about? Does it not taste good? Let's try it.
Open! So good. Maybe Chandler has some left.
It tastes like feet. I like it. Are you kidding? What's not to like? Custard, good. Jam, good. Meat, good.
So a bird just.
All right. I love Joey so much. I've probably seen that clip like 30 times, and I laugh every time. Okay, so I've been showing this clip for a while for training, and I sometimes ask people, we're talking about CDI coaching. I promise this relates. How do you think it relates? And I've gotten some really interesting answers, including staying positive no matter what happens, which I thought was really good. That's actually another good lesson. But actually, I'm thinking about how best to describe coaching. I thought about this clip, and I thought about the part where Rachel says, you've got to get a bite with all the layers. Because good coaches alternate their layers. Good coaches say things like good label praise, but that's not all they say, right? What does they say? So what I did in my infinitely cheesy way is I made up a layer of coaching for every layer of Rachel's trifle. Oh yes, I went there. So the meat, I also will call this the bread and butter sometimes. Label praises for pride skills, of course, so important, and one of your most important tools as a PCIT coach. Obviously, we want to reinforce those skills, and we want to model the use of label praise. So mom says, thank you for sharing, and we say, nice label praise. If I say, nice job, mom, that's good, but it's not letting mom know what she did that's good, and it's also modeling the use of unlabeled praise for her, right? So she thinks that's okay. Okay? So nice label praise, great reflection, wonderful imitating, beautiful behavior description. Really important to mark, and we really do encourage coaches to praise almost every time a parent uses a pride skill. Of course, again, we're human. You might miss them. The parent might have like a string of them, and you're kind of like, whoa, what just happened? But the idea is that we do want to mark almost every time, thinking about what we know about learning and schedules of reinforcement that help learning. When you're trying to learn a new skill, sorry, I'm going to be really Psych 101 for a second. Just a second. Bear with me for a second. Do you remember when you're trying to learn a new behavior, what is the most effective, fastest way to learn when you think about schedules of reinforcement? Immediate, frequent, right? So that's why. Okay. The jam. Okay, so this is where the analogy breaks down a little bit. I really had to kind of stretch. I was like, the jam is kind of like, so when you're prompting, it's kind of like you're rapping, it's kind of like you're jamming-ish. Yeah, well, we'll see if it works. All right, so the jam is prompting for skills. This, again, is one of your #1 tools, because I'm going to tell you, your parents are not going to come to you with pride skills. And if all you know to do is this, you're going to be really silent for a long time. Okay? Don't expect your parents to have them. That's why they're coming to you. So little ways to just encourage them and prompt that along. What we'd like to do, ideally, again, thinking about your job as a coach, is to just take what they're giving you and tweak it a bit and be as unobtrusive as possible and just drop in quick little prompts. So if the parent says, good job, that's actually pretty good. That's halfway to a label praise. So you just say, good job of what? If the parent says, if the parent says the tower is getting tall, kid is building a tower, and the parent says the tower is getting tall, that's actually pretty good. The parent's following the child's play. They're being really positive about the child's play. So you just say, what is Joey doing with the tower? And hopefully they'll say, you're putting the block on the tower, or something like that. Describe what he's doing with his hands. Good prompt for a behavior description. Child says something, can you repeat that? Again, just brief little prompts to encourage pride skills. And then, what do? Label praise. Yes, exactly. So see how that all flows? Nice, come full circle, yeah. The idea is that we do want to use true prompts. Again, just little reminders to the parent to use a pride scale, little pieces to help them. Generally speaking, we avoid what we call direct line feeds. So I know what pride skills are, right? And I could just say, Mom, tell him you're putting the block on the tower. You're putting the block on tower. Good behavior description. Now tell him, thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. Right? I could get the parent to repeat me, no problem, and we could have good CDI skills. But why do you think we actually avoid that? Because they're not learning the skills. They need to learn to generate them on their own. I was presenting on PCIT to some undergrads just to kind of present an overview, and I kind of glossed over the coaching a little bit. I was just doing a brief overview, and I was describing coaching, and I said, yeah, so we're right there with the parent kind of telling them what to say, and I go on, and this undergrad student raised her hand and said, excuse me, if you're telling them what to say, what happens when they leave your office? And I was like, excellent question. And let me back up, because actually I'm not telling them exactly what to say, I'm just helping them learn the skills. And that undergrad hit the nail on the head. If we are just line feed, line feed, line feed, line feed, what happens when you're not there? The parent needs to learn to generate the skills on their own. The other thing that can happen, think about the different populations we work with. Think about how language is so culturally bound. If I just tell the parent what I would say, that is not going to feel natural to that parent. And you can get yourself in a lot of trouble with the parent feeling comfortable and like, these are things that I would praise. Right? I have a really good story about this too. I do a lot of video review in my job. And I have a trainee, she's wonderful, but she's doing a little bit too much line feeding. We talked about it after the fact, but she was, mother and daughter were playing, and this therapist has a little 3-year-old girl. And her little girl is very girly, and she loves princesses, and she's 3, you know. So the therapist said, tell her she's your little princess for sharing with you. And this little girl in session is 6. And the therapist said that, and Mom kind of got this look on her face. And you could tell she was a little bit like, but they have a good relationship. So she repeated the therapist. She said, you're my little princess for sharing with me. And I swear to God, this little girl looked and said, I am not a princess. I am an independent woman. I swear. This is why I have the greatest job in the world, because I was cracking up. But it was a really good example of why no line feeds. This mom knew that that was not a praise her little girl would respond to. And it didn't feel natural to her. Right? So you can get yourself in trouble real quick. But that being said, we do sometimes resort to the direct line feed. And we especially do use it when timing is critical. We think about ignoring. Remember how Melanie and Dan were being so naughty yesterday, and they would calm down just for a second. And I knew as a coach I had like this much time. So in that situation, if you were coaching a parent through an ignore and the child quieted down, you might say, oh, he quieted down. Say thank you for quieting down. Because you know timing is critical and you don't have a ton of time. And also if you've tried your prompts multiple times, you've tried different approaches to get a behavior description. You say, describe what he's doing, and Mom says, oh, the tower's getting tall. And so you try again. You say, what's Joey doing with the tower? And Mom looks at Joey and goes, what are you doing with the tower? And you're like, oh, not quite getting there. You know, if you've tried multiple times and the parent doesn't seem to be getting it, then you might give a couple direct line feeds as an example. But then you have an opportunity to say good behavior description and slowly back off of that directiveness as well. Does that make sense? Okay, this layer works so well. Okay, the P's are the constructive feedback for don't skills. If you're going to point out a mistake the parent makes, which we don't do a ton, but we do use it sometimes. But this works so well because, you know, peas are good for you. You should probably have some peas sometimes. But if you served only peas, no one would come to your house for dinner, right? So this is the exact same thing. We're very careful with this layer. You don't want to serve your parent only peas. We don't start off with this layer at all right away. The very beginning of the coaching is going to be, might be difficult for the parent, they might be somewhat anxious. Again, we really want to be positive with that parent and build up their confidence and just help them feel comfortable with this whole procedure. So I don't even want to hear this layer at all in CDI Coach 1. And you're still going to be very careful with it even after CDI Coach 1. And think about what your parent is giving you. This is, again, where your good clinical skill and your good assessment skills come in. Because if you have a parent who has no pride skills and 30 questions, I wouldn't even worry about the questions at that point. You've really got to work on the pride skills first. You've got to give the parent something to say before you take away what they are saying. If that makes sense. But if you have a parent who they're almost at mastery or they're even very close, but they just have those darn tip-up questions, then this might be an appropriate time to use this layer. So just, again, being very careful with this is where your spa voice is really important because it does make a huge difference, versus saying, Mom, that was a question, versus, oh, little question. Sounds silly, but it's a big difference, right? It's going to feel very different to that parent. So being very careful with that. And then the sweet stuff. This is the fun stuff. This is what we also might call higher order statements. These are statements that maybe aren't directly related to skill use, but they're very important, kind of pointing out the rationale for the skills, why we're having the parent do this, positive changes you see in the parent or positive changes you see in the child. These types of statements are so important for the parent's overall buy-in and motivation. Sometimes it's very hard for the parent in the moment to notice all of the changes that you're seeing. So that's a big part of your job as a coach, to say, wow, your describing is really helping her focus. And the parent's kind of like, oh yeah, this stuff is working. And if I say, your describing is helping her focus, what do you think that parent might do in response? Keep describing, right? So I'm not giving her a direct prompt, but I'm kind of subtly reinforcing that behavior. Again, pointing out the theory of PCIT in a way that is relevant to that parent. When you stay calm, it helps her calm faster. If you praise it, you'll see more of it. So again, those types of statements are so important, and they're the really fun thing about coaching as well. So again, I want you to think about Rachel's trifle. Good coaches alternate their layers and really rely on all of these layers to draw the skills out of the parent and support that parent and motivate that parent. Think about the general coaching guidelines of PCIT International. So you really want to pay attention even with your jam. So again, really thinking about true prompts rather than just bulldozing over the parent with what you would say. Right? Thinking about what the parent is giving you and building on that. Being positive, we've talked about even with your Ps, even if you're doing a little bit of the constructive feedback, staying calm and supportive and positive. And being brief and quick even with your sweet stuff. And again, this is my downfall because I see these amazing changes and I'm so proud of the parent and I just want to tell them and tell them and tell them. But again, that's just not the place to do it. You can do it, but that's what we call a in front of the mirror conversation if you want to make a long interpretation. So even with those higher order statements staying relatively brief, your describing helps her focus. She loves earning your praise. When you reflect, it shows you're listening. Very brief. And that's it. So this is a one-way mirror. Picture it? Yeah. Okay. I've done my coding of Melanie. We're not going to role play that. But you'll hear how I give her feedback on her skills and then move into the coaching. All right, Melanie, can you hear me okay? You did an amazing job today with your pride skills. I had a few reflections in there, 10 labeled praises. You're at mastery for labeled praises, and a couple behavior descriptions as well.
Love apples.
Great reflection, Mom. So yeah, you've done an amazing job.
What's this?
I'm just going to jump in with some coaching.
It's pepper. It's pepper. Pepper.
Another beautiful reflection. That shows her you're listening.
What'd you say I'm working on? Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I know, I just realized I didn't tell you.
Oh, I thought I missed it.
So we're just going to work on behavior descriptions today.
Okay.
So what is she doing with her hands?
You're picking up the can.
Excellent behavior description.
That says yummy soup.
Nice answering her question. I like how you leaned in.
Yummy soup.
Yummy soup.
Another beautiful reflection.
The cone.
Good following her. What is she doing with the cone?
You put the cone down.
Excellent
What do
behavior
you want
description.
to eat? Do you want some pizza?
Pizza?
I made you some pizza.
Good reflection. And what is she doing
I
with
have
that
a piece
pizza?
of pizza. Here, eat the pizza.
You're eating the pizza?
Good following her play.
You
and
eat
good
your pizza.
ignoring that food in the mouth.
Okay, you want me to eat my pizza.
Yeah, eat it.
Beautiful reflection. Good imitation.
I'm pretending to eat it.
Nice modeling
Can't
for her
taste
mom.
it that way.
Yeah, I would just ignore that. Good judgment, Mom.
Mr. Potato Head will eat that.
Okay, good. Ignoring that. I know that was a little grabby. What is she doing with that pizza now?
Good
You're
pizza.
feeding Mr. Potato Head the pizza.
Beautiful behavior description. When you describe
Good saving Mr. Potato Head from falling off.
Nice label praise, Melanie.
He's eating lettuce now.
Lettuce, that's
Here.
healthy.
Beautiful reflection.
You feed him too.
Oh, and she just shared with you.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Excellent label praise.
I love when we work together in our play.
Beautiful label praise. That's a great thing to praise.
I'm gonna pretend to eat some more.
Good modeling.
Yeah, I don't like lettuce.
Yeah, I would just ignore that. It was a little sassy.
I like French fries.
You like French fries. I like that you're pretend eating.
Excellent label praise. Great job, Mom, jumping on that behavior.
These are hard.
They are hard.
Beautiful reflection. You're doing such a good job following her.
I think he needs an ear.
I like how you're leaning in.
I'm going to put the ear right there.
Right there?
Good following her play. And what do you see her
And the
doing
mustache
now?
is going to go right here too. Do you like it?
I do like it.
She's looking for your approval. She loves it.
I don't want to put that anymore. I am gonna, this is a fruit.
A fruit.
A fruit.
Beautiful
A
reflection,
fruit.
Mom.
Is this
Another
a
great
fruit?
reflection. That's encouraging her talk.
Or is this a vegetable?
A fruit or a vegetable?
Nice following.
It's a fruit.
Good
It's a
answering
fruit.
her
Okay,
question.
fruit, go over here. Help me put all
And
the fruit
describe
over
what
here.
she's doing now.
The fruit over here?
Yeah, but lettuce is not a fruit. Lettuce goes over here with the vegetables.
Lettuce goes over there.
Another beautiful reflection.
What's this?
That's
It's
an
a
apple.
fruit.
Good answering
It's
her
a fruit.
question. And what is she doing with the apple?
You put the apple with the fruit.
Beautiful behavior description.
What's this?
What's that?
It's not a fruit.
It is not a fruit.
Great reflection.
That's a cone.
Good answering
It'll
her
have to go.
question.
I don't know what that is. Oh, I found
She's
another.
having a lot of fun playing with you, Melanie.
Do you know what it is?
It's an orange.
It is an orange.
And
Great
oranges
reflection.
are fruits.
Fruits.
There's a lot of
Great
fruits and not a
reflection.
lot of vegetables.
And what did she do with the fruit?
You added the orange to the fruit pile.
Beautiful behavior description. That helps her focus. Okay. Time. Okay, just real quick before your break. I know you need one. What did you see? Comments.
It's so hard.
What's that?
For parents, it's so hard.
It is
A
Yes.
lot of concentration, listen to you, and make
Yes.
process the information and make the best, you know?
I think that's such a good observation. And I think as PCIT therapists, please never forget that. I think it's so important to always remember how many demands are on Melanie in this moment, right? She's got her talking, me talking, toys. It is a lot.
And you will understandably be nervous when you start. So it's especially important that you think about this first, because it'll be harder to remember what the parent is going through. So you may be more likely to talk over the parent or interrupt, or you know you have an important point to make, so you say it. Meanwhile, the child is saying, "Why aren't you answering me? Why aren't?" So you want to be most sensitive to the parent. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is hard for the therapist as well.
It is.
Yes, it is hard.
Because
It is.
attention all the time.
Yeah.
Yes.
And controlling what you're saying as well.
Yes.
Because you want to model, so.
Yeah. And you'll get a chance after the break to try that out.
And you see it clearly why you were putting the three categories yesterday so determined, the 1, the 2, and the 3. Because actually, yes, when you deal in different type of therapeutic intervention, it's maybe a parent with a 65, you can handle it.
Yeah.
But if you have a parent with a 65 with something in the ear and trying to.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's another added layer. It's not just learning the skills, right? It's in a very specific format with a lot of different stimulation coming at you. Yeah. Comment.
Comment. Like, if you're starting with a parent that obviously doesn't have a lot of skills
Yeah.
developed yet, would
Right.
you limit your promptings to maybe just a few throughout the session? Because I was hearing it, I'm thinking, if I was in your shoes, I'd be sitting there trying to juggle between everything else. I'd probably want to say, stop, slow down.
So we actually, it's a very good point. As I was getting on stage, I asked Rhea, so what session are we at that I should try? Because you coach, CDI Coach 1, the first coaching session ever, is different from all other coaching sessions in that you only give positive feedback and some prompts. You don't give any correctives, like you don't say, oops, watch that question, nothing like that. And to try to limit how much feedback. You're still easing them in. You still want to maintain the rapport, and for precisely that reason, so they can manage all of the demands of this new situation.
And it's all about assessing where your parent is at, always. So if I'm getting that she's pretty good, right? And I can kind of push her a little bit. But if I'm getting that it's overwhelming for her, or if during coding, there were no skills and she's kind of flat affect and she's really low and not even really engaging with her child and barely looking, do you think I'm going to get on the button and say, okay, Mom, describe what she's doing? No, that's not where Mom is. So it's all about assessing. That's where PCIT is so exciting, though, because you get data every week and you assess where your parent's at and make the game plan for them. Yeah. Break. Yeah, I think you guys have earned a break. Thank you so much for your attention.